So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our transit of Ketu over other planets. And the way this transit works, as you see here, Ketu can be with a planet. Let's say it's with Sun. Okay? So, Sun is in Virgo. Number 6 is Virgo. So, Ketu is going to be entering in Virgo by October for 18 months. So what happens is either it can be with the Sun or it can be trine from the Sun, which means Sun could be in Capricorn, Sun could be in Taurus. So when Ketu comes into in this particular sign, it'll be like Ketu in a way is affecting Sun. Here we can say definitely conjunct Sun. Here we can say it's trine from Sun, so it's going to bring a very similar effect, just like Rahu or any other planet. For example, right now Saturn is in Aquarius, right? Saturn is transiting Aquarius for 2.5 years. That means any planet which is trine to Saturn will be affected by Saturn. Whether a planet could be in Gemini or Libra. So this is the dynamic of understanding the transit in the easiest manner. Then we come to this particular thing. Ketu's in Virgo 18 months. These are very few of many significance that we can say. Ketu is knots. Ketu is a rope, meaning something that gets tied together. It represents flags. It represents end of something, cuts, astrology meaning occult. It represents monks, dogs, and of course it also represents law. Ketu is law. Okay? So you have these planets that Ketu will potentially be going over or is in trine. So when it is going over Sun or is trine from the Sun, what we can see is that father could suddenly have rise in his life. Why father could have rise in his life? Father could have rise in his life because Ketu is flag. Can we say everything about the mother, friends, aunts, uncle, wife, brother, husband, which is Jupiter, which is you, Saturn, which is profession, Rahu, Ketu. We'll get to actually Rahu, Ketu towards the end because Rahu represents your ambition, your goals in this life besides your paternal ancestry and your paternal lineage business. Ketu will represent maternal lineage. Ketu naturally represents your past experiences. Okay, but first we can see that with Sun and all these other significance will and can have a rise, meaning their flag rises. For example, when Ketu is going over Sun, this is known as Kirti Dhavaj Yoga. Kirti Dhavaj meaning Sun is fame, Kirti. Dhavaj is flag, which is Ketu. So when flag rises up high, everybody sees it. And it blows in the wind. Now, this doesn't mean like somebody can get worldwide famous, although nowadays I think we gotta say that anyone and everyone can get fame. It's nothing special about it. But for example, somebody just within their own community, somebody within their own corporation can get a higher distinction. Like just today, I was actually doing a reading of somebody who had Sun Ketu conjunction in the birth chart. And they became a VP within their company right around the time when Saturn was going over that Sun Ketu conjunction. So that's Kirti Dhavaj Yoga. At the same time, we can also see all these planets will experience the same. On the other hand, we also see knot, meaning contracts, negotiations. Because remember, Ketu is law. There would be some kind of legal negotiations and contracts that would occur with all of these significance where some deal is happening, so that deal goes through. Ketu is also cuts. So definitely a deal can get cut and then another deal can be made. So there's no contradiction here. Because you've got 18 months of transit. Something is bound to happen, right? Just like that, because when Ketu is going over any one of these planets, naturally these individuals will feel a bit isolated from society. For example, Ketu will be going over Jupiter, which means the individual themselves will feel isolated from their current situation. Even though person could be very social because of their birth chart, moon can have, association with certain planet where a lot of interaction will happen. Maybe your Jupiter, or moon could be in, let's say, Purva Falguni. You're going to be social. But for that particular time period, Jupiter is going to be impacted by Ketu. Meaning, not only isolation, person who may not have any interest in yoga, meditation, okay, searching for a guru, suddenly for these 18 months, because of certain circumstances, they suddenly find some kind of attraction towards looking for higher divinity through sources of Ketu, which means if, let's say, Jupiter is having Ketu go over it, you will go to an astrologer. Sun going over Ketu, father will go to an astrologer. Moon and Ketu, mother will go to an astrologer. Or friends, neighbors, your wife, will go to, or Saturn is also elder sibling will go to an astrologer. These are the very simple things that we'll see happening. But also one thing we see, Saturn is profession, right? So if Saturn is profession and Ketu is going over Saturn, what it does, Ketu is bringing in significance on Saturn. And Ketu is taking the significance of Saturn. So one way that Ketu helps Saturn is that, especially this is the period where if, let's say, somebody's an astrologer, occultist, yoga teacher, this is going to be a brilliant period because now your significance naturally is tied with Ketu. So Ketu is going to feel comfortable going over Saturn. Otherwise, when Ketu goes over Saturn, a person feels irritated with their work. They're going to be like, maybe I should change jobs, which is what's happening when Saturn is going over Ketu in certain people's chart. When Saturn goes over on certain people's chart, and I've seen this a lot literally this year, that I want to change jobs. I'm not happy with my job. I'm making good money, but I want to see if I can do this, this, and this. And I always say, do not change job by yourself when Ketu goes over Saturn or Saturn goes over Ketu. Let it first happen and then you change. Let's say you get laid off. Okay, now you look for a job, you'll get a very good job. But if you decide to leave because of this irritation of Ketu, because you're going to feel isolated in your profession, you're not going to find interest in your profession. Unless also your profession is to do with research, even working with children, then also this Ketu will help you. At the same time, if let's say Ketu is going over Venus, Ketu is going over Mars. Mars also represents what? Mangal Sutra. Venus is the Karka of marriage, relationship. In this period, Ketu going over Venus and Mars can show either a brother may get married, some female within the family will get married, your sister will get married, or you yourself will get married. Because again, Ketu is knots, ropes, tying of things. And of course, it's legal. So naturally we see that there would be some kind of a legal tie. Can there be a legal breakup? Sure. If you have yoga for a divorce, then this Ketu can actually say, well, it's time to end this bad marriage. Your ultimate partner is waiting for you. So let me do my job so you can find the other person. So as much as sometimes it feels like a devastating event in a person's life, oh my God, why am I going through this? What's happening? You do not understand what life has in store for you 5 years from now, 7 years from now, where if you look back at it, you'll be like, oh my God, what if this divorce never happened? I would have never met my soulmate. And here I was crying about the fact that this person was leaving me. And nobody should actually be crying, because remember, it's a temporary contract. You don't own them and they don't own you. You came here, you were past enemies, you came here to work things out, you did, karma's done, khatam. You move on. But yes, we do see that with single people, you will run into, and especially when it goes over Venus and Mars, you can run into one of those relationships where just from a hi, hello, or just from that glance, you just feel like you know this person like for the past 10 years. It's like, whoa, where were you? Because that past life love now comes in, because that's the significance of Ketu. Now, Virgo is a sign of what? Virgo is naturally the sign of intelligence. Virgo is naturally the sign of health, error picking, accounting, okay? And naturally it represents work, routines as well. So one thing we see, especially with Venus being in Virgo, with Ketu going over it, we can see that a female may feel kind of exiled from their society, their workplace. They may not be accepted so easily. And these are your life lessons. Because by going through this, you're going to become a better person. So never try to feel that you have to avoid every single obstacle in life. If I haven't gone through the obstacles, so for example, Ketu, literally as soon as Ketu entered in the sign of Libra, I've had major stalking issues that I've had to deal with. This is why you see, I don't want to go to conferences. I don't want to go here. I don't want my recognition or fame to go up high. I've been trying my best to stay lay low as much as I can. You guys don't know. The grass is always greener on the other side. But when you go to the other side, then you feel like, I wish I was on the other end. So be careful of what you wish for. Okay? But because Ketu goes over Venus and then Mars, so brother may get married. Brother will find success in their career during this time, especially by defeating somebody in competition. They'll have to somehow, maybe let's say brother is going to be going for a UPSC exam, some kind of a competitive exam. Ketu going there, Ketu's a flag. Now brother's flag is going to rise high. Husband may get a promotion with Ketu going over Mars. Or husband may change jobs, switch jobs, which is different than Ketu going over Saturn. Here, if a new opportunity comes in, you take it. You don't have to let you go. But this becomes a very good position for, in a female chart with Mars, that the arrival of husband can come in, because this knot can be tied, the Mangal Sutra can be put on, and the legalization of that relationship can take place. With Jupiter and Ketu, naturally person gets interested in occult, astrology, research. Young students, 18, 19 years old, may actually think if in their chart, Jupiter, Ketu are trying from each other, they will either desire to go into law, study law, going into aviation, going into maybe microbiology. So depending upon the age, certain things will take place with this Ketu Jupiter. Ketu Jupiter, you will naturally see with Virgo, one will be dedicated to either suddenly doing yoga, some kind of a yoga or breathing yoga, especially breathing yoga, because Jupiter is what? Jupiter is prana, the breath. And Ketu represents that spiritual side. Virgo is work. Virgo is like you have to work hard at something. So to achieve your success of the body, of you, you're going to be working hard with that Jupiter-Ketu combination. It's kind of like a Jupiter-Ketu conjunction for 18 months. One of the big things you will see with Jupiter Ketu, a person becomes stubborn for 18 months. Suddenly you will see this person, you want them to do something, they will not do it unless they want to. Unless they want to, only then things will happen. Otherwise, forget it. They'll rather take a loss than listen to somebody else's suggestion. That's what happens. And then with Moon Ketu are together. Mother or even you can travel to a dharmic spot, dharmic position, a place, especially like let's say you may go to a Ganesha temple. You may go to some family Devi temple. You know, like there's Kul Devata, and then there's, forgot this other word for family Devatas. But this is the time where mother will suddenly feel like she has to do this particular penance for something. Because this is not Pisces, this is Virgo. So if a pilgrimage, a travel is going to happen, it is going to happen for a specific purpose that the mother is going to try to overcome. But also there can be breaks and cuts in breaks and cuts in travels. Perhaps if, let's say, you're trying to travel in November, it may not happen. It may happen in February or March, depending upon what degree Moon is in. Moon is at 28 degrees, definitely not going to happen right now. Perhaps it may happen when Ketu has crossed over Moon and done its job of cutting things, and then it brings about that journey, that travel for the mother. Mother, in this period, will become very critical, very self-critical. And not only self-critical, critical of other people, especially her own siblings. Why is she doing this? Why is he doing this? She may get into disputes with her own siblings. Because remember, Virgo represents your maternal aunts and uncles. So there will be some kind of an interaction, some very strong interaction that may happen with this. And one of the things that we see with Mercury and Ketu, person would get interested in languages. Person will suddenly desire to cut one part of their education and start learning something else. Many people will actually start taking some courses on astrology, biology. Okay? A lot of people, especially young people, will have to work harder in mathematics. Because Mercury, Mars and Mercury Ketu is dealing with numbers, crunching numbers, even languages, computer languages. So those things will be taking place. But of course, we can also see that it would bring a cut from one particular type of education and course and taking something else. So even if, let's say, you're in the same thing, you're doing computer programming. Perhaps what will happen with this Mercury Ketu, you will leave one university and go to some other university. You will leave one form of type of computer science course and start taking something completely different, but it's in the same vicinity, same field. And then, of course, your friends or maternal aunts and uncles will find sudden rise in their particular life because, of course, Mercury is exalted in Virgo. So Ketu is actually going to be a very strong position for the Dhavaj, the flag to rise for these people. When Ketu goes over Rahu, so Rahu would be in Virgo, okay, that means your past actions will now give their result. Whatever you have done in the last 18 years, whatever type of hard work you have put on something, those particular results will come. And especially here, if Rahu is there and you have too much ambition, I want to become a crypto billionaire. I'm telling you with the emails that I get on daily. Can I become a crypto billionaire? I want to have 20 million subscribers and I want to have this much fame. Some ambitions are good, some ambitions are delusional. What Ketu does brings Rahu back to reality. So whatever your ambitions and goals are, they can be cut, and they are cut for your own benefit. So never think, oh my God, why did Ketu come on to my Rahu at this time and I cannot achieve this thing? Why? Because you could have gotten into a bigger trouble later on. Maybe you want to thank Ketu that he cut those ambitions now. You cut your losses now and you move instead of you dealing with the bigger losses. That's what people don't understand with Ketu going over Rahu. Ketu is not the enemy of Rahu. They're the same entity. So why would Ketu damage Rahu? It feels like from our brainless, stupid human, biomechanical suit that if our desire is not happening, well, the world sucks. Miss my karma, this and that. While you don't realize Ketu perhaps just saved Rahu from going too ambitious and getting caught into something, getting caught into some web, some scam. So goals and ambitions find a realistic perspective. And when Ketu goes over Ketu itself, and also with Ketu going over Rahu, some past unfinished business related to ancestral property may take place. If let's say your ancestral property was in dispute between your father and brothers and whatever the situation is, it can finally be resolved. Whether you get it or don't get it, it'll finally be resolved. That means you don't need to go to court every 8 months or every 6 months or whatever the thing is in India. Because I know those cases can go for a long time. Because again, I get all kinds of readings. And when Ketu goes over Ketu, this is where your past is now being settled. You start to think about your past, like, nostalgia, the word nostalgia, like you focusing on how things were. And based on how things were, you begin to make decisions of how things should be. You will see with Ketu going over Jupiter, Saturn, and Ketu itself, a person will suddenly desire to be in a place where they can live as people lived back in time. Maybe they no longer want to have all the modern amenities. They want to live a simple life. Because Ketu is a monk. It is simplicity. It is always going to bring you to simplicity. For example, over Saturn is old things, right? So something from the past you will try to bring in your profession, or you will want to own something from the past, meaning some old clock you saw when you were 10 years old and you finally see this clock, now you want to buy it. So one may collect some items from the past. Now what will that trigger? Think about it. You buy some item which is old, nostalgic. When you get that, what happens is it activates your Saturn. And then what is Ketu? Dhavaj, flag. Flag rises. So this is why it's kind of like, you can say, a remedy in a way. So this is the most simplest way you can understand Ketu in Virgo. Now, of course, Ketu is going to be in nakshatra of Chitra, nakshatra of Hasta, nakshatra of Uttara Falguni, and for me to go over all these planets with that, it's gonna be a way too long of a thing. And that's why I have finally, after 4 months, I've opened up the transit reading. Okay. So anyway, guys, this was my analysis of Ketu over planets. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss this type of videos. If you want to know where your Ketu is placed, all your astrological details, check out the links here, KRSastrology.com. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow with some other video. Bye-bye.